morning, dear candidate, and welcome to the official platform. Today, we are going to focus with the ordinary level history paper 2 questions and answer. And the topic we are choosing to answer question on Cameroon on the eve of German annexation and a scramble. Now, we shall be moving forward to examine the question. What is the question all about? The first question that we're going to examine here today will fall under Cameroon on the eve of German annexation. Earlier mentioned, why did European powers scramble to annex Cameroon? Why was the British government reluctant to annex Cameroon before 1884? Explain why the British government finally decided to annex Cameroon. Answer to this question. First, this question, three-part question. The first part, you have to give a reason why European powers scrambled over Cameroon to annex the territory. The second part, you have to give why the British government was reluctant to annex Cameroon. And the third part, you will give why the British government changed her mind in favor to annex Cameroon. So the introduction of this question is simple, as we are just going to define the term scramble. The scramble for Cameroon was the race, rivalry, competition, struggle by Britain, Germany, and to an extent France to annex Cameroon. First part of this question, remember, request us to give reason why the European powers, Britain, France, and Germany scrambled to annex Cameroon. Economically, they wanted a market to sell their manufactured goods. This was because of the Industrial Revolution in Europe, which led to the overproduction of goods that could not be sold in European markets. Secondly, they wanted cheap raw materials for their home industry, like ivory, palm oil, and fennel, which was believed to be abundant in Cameroon. For this reason, they scrambled to annex the territory. Good. So I'll repeat again, please. Whenever you are about to start, if you are to start with the economic factor, it would be preferable to at least mention to the examiner that you are about starting with the economic factor. For example, like what I did here, economically. When I say economically now, the examiner knows that I am starting directly with what? Economic factor. The examiner knows I'm starting with economic factors. Now we continue. They discovered fertile land in Cameroon, which was good for plantation agriculture, e.g., the fertile volcanic soil of Mount Cameroon. European traders pressurized their home government to annex the territory so that they can be protected. They wanted to recover debt owed to European traders by the coastal middlemen. I'm done with the economic factors or economic reasons. I'm now moving to the social reasons. Look at social domain. They wanted to create extra living space for their excess population. They wanted to spread European cultures and civilization to the natives who were considered backward. I hope you see the way I'm doing now. I'm done with the social domain. I'm entering the political domain. In the political domain, they wanted to win honor and prestige. It was believed that the more territory you have, the more grandeur and honor you deserve. They wanted to compensate territorial losses. For example, France wanted to compensate the loss of Alsace and Lorraine to Germany. British reluctance to annex Cameroon influenced other European powers to develop interest in the territory. Lastly, the empire-building ambition of some European powers caused the scramble for Cameroon. France, for example, wanted to link her territories from Algeria to French Equatorial Africa and Britain from West Africa covering Cameroon. End of the first part. We are now entering to the second part. Remember, the second part of this question requested us to give reason why the British government was unwilling to annex Cameroon. They were reluctant to annex Cameroon because of the following reasons. First, Britain believed that she already had enough territory in West Africa. Example, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Ghana. Britain did not foresee the colonial ambitions of other European powers in Cameroon like Germany. Britain thought that the territory was not economically rich to sustain colonial administration. The British did not have sufficient colonial administrators. Many British officials were not willing to come to Africa due to tropical diseases like malaria. Britain wanted to avoid further clashes with France, whose activity were advancing from the southern part of Cameroon in areas like Malimba, Campos, and Big Batanga. Now, the third part of this question now requests us to give reason why the British later changed her mind in favor of annexation. She changed her mind in favor of annexation because of the following reason. The British traders and missionaries pressurized the British government to annex Cameroon. The British were frightened by the activities of the French traders in the territory. Consort Hewett, on a sick leave in Britain, revealed the economic potential of the territory to the British government, which influenced the British government to develop interest in the annexing the territory. Britain was influenced by the persistent request for annexation by the native rulers. Example, the 1879 letters written by King Akwa and other chiefs to Queen Victoria, the 8th March 1881 letter written by King Bell through Consort Hewett, and the 6th November, which was a joint letter written by King Akwa and King Bell. Lastly, the letter written in 1883 by King William of Bimbia to the British influenced the British to develop interest in annexing the territory. Lastly, the Industrial Revolution needed more raw materials like ivory, farm products, which were available in abundance in Cameroon, influenced the British to develop interest in the territory. This is how this question was supposed to be answered. Now we'll move to the second question that we're going to examine today. What were the reasons for the European scramble for the control of Cameroon in the last quarter of the 19th century? Why did Cameroon coastal chiefs request British annexation initially? Why was British reluctant to accept their request? Remember, this question, two parts of this question that was seen in the first part, and the only part that was never seen was why the Cameroonians coastal chiefs requested British annexation. Now, as the first question said, right, the first question was requesting reason why European powers scramble over Cameroon, right? Now, with this type of question, you start with the introduction. The scramble for Cameroon was a race, rivalry, competition, struggled by Britain, Germany, and to an extent France to annex Cameroon. Just like the first question, this question requests us in the first part to give reason why European powers scramble over Cameroon. I repeat again, economically means that what I'm telling the examiner directly that I am starting the economic factors. Now, they wanted a market to sell their manufactured goods. This was because of the Industrial Revolution in Europe, which led to the overproduction of goods that could not be sold in European markets. Hence, the scramble over Cameroon in order to search for markets. They wanted cheap raw materials for their home industry like ivory, palm oil, and kernel. And it was believed that that Cameroon provided what abundance raw materials. For this reason, they scrambled to annex the territory. They discovered fertile land in Cameroon, which was good for plantation agriculture. Example, the fertile volcanic soil of Mount Cameroon. European traders pressurized their home government to annex the territory so that they can be protected. To recover debts owed to European traders by the coastal middlemen influenced the European powers to scramble over Cameroon, pardon. In the social domain, they wanted to create extra living space for their excess population. They wanted to spread European cultures and civilization to the natives who were considered backward. In the political domain, they wanted to win honor and prestige. It was believed that the more territory you have, the more grandeur and honor you deserve. They wanted to compensate territorial losses. For example, France wanted to compensate the loss of Alsace and Lorraine to Germany. British reluctance to annex Cameroon influenced other European powers to develop interest in the territory. Lastly, the empire-building ambition of some European powers caused the scramble for Cameroon. France, for example, wanted to link her territory from Algeria to French Equatorial Africa and Britain from West Africa covering Cameroon. Now, the second part, remember, the first part of that question 2, requested us to give the reason why European powers scramble over Africa. Now, the second part requests us to give reason why the natives requested or preferred British annexation. First, the natives preferred the British because of the British crusade against slave trade on the Cameroon coast, which was inhuman. Secondly, they were influenced by the annual dashes of gifts, commonly called gourmet, given to the natives by the British. They wanted British protection against the French, who were advancing from the southern coast in places like Malimba, Batanga, and Campo. Many natives had gained jobs or were employed in the British firms like the Ambas Bay, Hot Company, and RW. They wanted the British laws in their towns, as was in Calabar in the neighboring Nigeria. They were impressed with the good work of the London Baptist Missionary Society, such as evangelization, opening of schools, health centers. This influenced them to request for British annexation. Lastly, they loved the English culture. This includes their language, name, titles, and ways of dressing. This influenced them to demand for British annexation. Now, the part here requires us to give reason why the British was reluctant or unwilling to annex Cameroon. First, Britain believed that she already had enough territory in West Africa. Example, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Ghana. Britain did not foresee the colonial ambition of other European powers in Cameroon like Germany. Britain thought that the territory was not economically rich to sustain colonial administration. The British did not have sufficient colonial administrators. Many British officials were not willing to come to Africa due to tropical diseases like malaria. Britain wanted to avoid further clashes with France, whose activities were advancing from the southern part of Cameroon. These were the reasons why the British were reluctant to annex Cameroon. End of this classes. Contact to join the WhatsApp group 679199217 with the code ordinary level. Thank you.